Am I the a-hole for snapping at my boyfriend after he targeted me in a game? I, female, was playing games with my boyfriend and his friends. We played a game where the goal is to make a controversial prompt that the players of the game will be split on. The more split it is, the more points. Some more background about me. This is important. I was adopted by other relatives and have lived with them since I was 1. My bio mother is dead and has been for my entire life. I don't remember anything about her. I don't fully remember what the prompt was. It was something about getting money by having to delete the only picture of something you have off your phone. My boyfriend filled in the blank and wrote that the only picture you'd have to delete would be of your birth mom. I immediately said I felt targeted, and he told me I was. I was not happy, and I asked him why he did that in our DMs. He told me he did it because he wanted to win and wanted the split. He said sorry, but he was insistent that he thought it wouldn't be a big deal and I wouldn't be so hurt. He told me he felt awful afterwards and like I had gotten way too upset. Am I the a-hole? Some of OP's comments. Commenter. NTA. He deliberately crossed a line. He threw you under the figurative bus in order to win a silly game. If he doesn't understand that this was the wrong thing to do, maybe you need to rethink him entirely? OP. He told me he understands why I thought it was wrong, but at the time he didn't think I would react so badly. I know people can do things out of impulse and immediately regret it, but I just wish he had put a little more thought into it before hitting submit. He feels really bad about it though. Commenter. Sad face. I don't think you like being used for a win or being the butt of a joke. I wouldn't take it lightly. Either he apologizes and promises not to do it again. Shouldn't be hard, BTW, don't let him tell you it's too hard not to make jokes about your late mother. Or he's an asshole. NTA, OP. I don't mind being the butt of other jokes, but I just felt like this was a little too far. I was just really shocked by it. I don't care about being poked fun at for other things, but this was just too personal. Thank you for showing some empathy. I hope you have a nice day. Commenter, downvoted, it's a game. If you don't like being targeted, don't play it. OP. I just think it was wrong to use my trauma against me so he could get a win. He hasn't targeted anyone else like that with their own vulnerabilities. And this was the first time he had done something like this. I've played this game many times before without him putting a target on my back. Commenter, downvoted YTA. The game by design is meant to be offensive and you signed up to play. Not to mention, per your own admission, your mother died when you were too young to even remember her. How would you have trauma regarding someone you have zero memory of? OP. I don't want to get into a lot of details, but the way she died could have been avoided, and it was a horrific trauma that affected everyone in my family. There is a lot of regret and grief surrounding it, and I'll just say I learned what DV was from a very young age. Also, have some empathy. Losing a parent in itself is traumatic, no matter how you lost them. Growing up without my bio mother has left an empty hole and a lifetime of regrets and wonders about what if s. To a later, graphic and downvoted comment. Then I think we can just agree to disagree on how parent loss would affect us. It was a very complicated and messy situation, and the topic of her has never really left my life. I was raised by her own parents who were grieving, and that affected aspects of my upbringing. I really don't think I should have to explain my entire life story to a curious internet stranger. I empathize with you, and I think you should extend a bit more empathy to me. Some top comments. Greek Dudianis. NTA. I think there's a boundary between being irreverent versus mentioning something someone has to specifically deal with. Like, even in Cards Against Humanity, you wouldn't make abortion jokes in front of someone who has had one. Like, that's just not cool. Your boyfriend is upset because you made him feel bad, not because he did something that upset you. Just cause he doesn't think it isn't a big deal doesn't mean that it isn't to you, and he needs to get his head out of his ass on that regard. Sure, it's a game, even a raunchy one where you're supposed to say something controversial, but he didn't have to use your dead mom to win a round. He could have easily picked anything else but chose not to. Raw Monster. The thing with games like Cards Against Humanity and Jackbox party games, I'm assuming you were playing a game like Split the Room on Jackbox, is that they are really only as fun as the people you play with, and that is a parameter that everyone sets in their own head. I wouldn't necessarily say that anyone is the asshole here. You are allowed to be offended by something, but also a game like this often encourages offensive responses. It's just a little different because this was done by your boyfriend, arguably the person you trust most in life. He expressed that he didn't realize you would be offended and apologized. I can't tell you how to feel, but it sounds like he recognized things went too far and feels bad about it. Personally, I'd cut him some slack. OP is voted not the a-hole, but responses are mixed. Update. Before I get into the update, I'd just like to say thank you to all the people who showed sympathy to me in the comments. I really appreciate your kind words. May both sides of your pillow always be cold or warm, whichever you prefer. Some people had the assumption that my boyfriend did not have any idea how emotional I was over the topic of my bio mother. That is actually far from the case. We have been dating for 2 years, and he has come with me multiple times to visit her grave. In fact, the thing that made me decide to ask him out in the first place was the compassion and love he showed me when we had a sentimental conversation about it. We had been friends already for a while before we started dating. He knows very well it's a sensitive topic. That being said, we talked it out and I talked to him about his behavior. He was very apologetic and he felt really bad. He told me that he had intended his statement of "you were targeted" to be apologetic, but it didn't really come off that way. I talked to him about how it made me feel. He promised to never do it again, and he acknowledged that he crossed a line. He also apologized for unintentionally dismissing my feelings when I confronted him the first time. I chose to forgive him because I truly believe he didn't mean to hurt me so bad. Mistakes happen, and I could see and hear it in his voice that he was genuinely sorry for hurting me. To those that were worried about me being in an abusive relationship, thank you, but I assure you I'm fine. I appreciate your sympathies, but I am happy in my relationship, and we have chosen to work past this together.